Welcome back to another video.
You are listening.
Let's get into it. Alright, this the old filter. And you see all of these holes all the way around. Now, just to show y'all, we got different size bolts that came out. See? Different lengths. See? You got 3 different lengths here. These 2 are the same. This one is slightly longer than all of them. And then of course you got this little short one right here. You gotta make sure you put each one of these go in its own slot. So you gotta make sure you don't mix them up. You can't really mix them up because these long ones aren't gonna go in the place where this short one will go. You know what I'm saying? So that'll help you with that when you're putting this back together. For example, this little one, I'm gonna show you where it go. Start them by hand, and you can snug them down with the drill. See? That's it. Now once you get all the bolts in their proper place, it should look like this right here. Now keep in mind to fasten these bolts in a crisscross pattern to evenly compress the filter. Next step, you already know, the transmission pan gasket. We're gonna install this next, but first, we gotta do something real quick, and that's clean off the oil pan and make sure it's free of any debris. Now remember, from the first video, I had this jug right here. And this basically holds 2,500 milliliters of fluid. That's basically 3 quarts, as you can see right here, filled up. Also equivalent to 12 cups. So this pan sat under the vehicle all that time that I was doing other repairs, and even when the weather changed and I had pause breaks in between jobs, you know, going to work and back and forth on the car. Basically, the pan collected more fluid in it since it sat under the car throughout the weather and all that time it was sitting there. The swirl in there, the color, it looks like it may be mixed with a little bit of water. I don't know. But I'm going to take into account how much fluid this is, and then I'll add it to the first video that we shot and see how much fluid actually in total came out of the actual vehicle. And then when I go to put the fresh fluid back, I'll have a reference to how much to add. But either way it goes, there's a specific way to actually add the correct amount so that you won't overflow, you know, or underflow like that. So I'll let you guys see all of that process when I get to that point. But this is just for a more accurate reading and, you know, for myself. So stay tuned. Yeah, that's definitely water mixed with that. You can see the discoloration in the pan. That's from water. So this whole pan needs to be cleaned out before we install it, before we reinstall it. I'm gonna show y'all a fresh clean pan, how that looks. But for now, we're looking at roughly 2 quarts right there. We'll double check the first video just to make sure. These are magnets, and they come off like so. You see? And then you gotta clean this and then put it back right there, and make sure there ain't no crumbs or nothing, no debris of any sort when you install this back. Let me point something out to you real quick. Here's your drain plug right here. This is your drain plug. Now this is your fill plug. Now let me show you something real quick in relation to this fill plug, using the fill plug adapter. One thing I want to point out to you about this, you see this little shaft right here? Once this pan gets filled up with brand new transmission fluid, it's gonna get filled through here. So it's gonna come from the bottom, and then it's gonna come from the bottom, and it's gonna fill up, and then it's gonna fill up in here. Once it gets full, it's gonna overflow through here and come down and spill out the bottom. You know, like that. It's gonna spill out the bottom right there. And once it start running out, that means stop right there. That means that it's full. It's the old gasket. So we won't be using this one again. Okay. I've been cleaning the pan, as you can see. Now, you could use parts cleaner for this and a little brush. Just make sure you get it all the way around. And get some paper towels and stuff, you know. Maybe some mechanic rags. And wipe this down if you don't want to use paper towels. Because, you know, they're disposable. The mechanic rags, you could wash them and stuff. Just the inside. And I could feel the pan too. All that residue is gone. There's no debris on the pan whatsoever or in it, which is excellent. And all around the gasket seat area, you want to make sure there's no residue or debris. It shouldn't feel like oil all over the place. Should be like that. Nice and clean, y'all. Nice and clean. See that? Don't forget the magnets. Let that pan dry out. Take the magnets. See all them crumbs and stuff? You don't want none of that in the pan. You don't want to mix none of that crap with the transmission fluid. That's what this magnet is for, is to stick and catch all of that stuff floating through the transmission. So I see that. You see that? That little debris? Those are little chips and flakes of metal. So that's an indication of tear inside the transmission. I mean, I've seen a whole lot worse than this on some of my previous jobs. This is looking pretty normal as far as like normal wear and tear go. But you want to make sure you clean all that off before you put it back in the pan. Make sure your holes line up when you put the gasket on. I like to use a little bit of silicone on this part so I can make sure that all of the holes line up properly. Not too much silicone, but just a little thin layer you know, on one side of the gasket would be better than nothing, and that'll keep the gasket in place. Now, it doesn't have to be the most expensive high temperature silicone, but one of my favorite ones is the high temperature silicone because you know, transmission fluid gets hot anyway. So although there's other brands you can use, this one is a real good one for tacking purposes as well as temperature. I did want to talk a little bit about this valve body. I did put the transmission fluid filter is new, and see this component right here is the TCM integrated with the valve body here, and this terminal right here where the output speed sensor connects to it. See, they work together in order to, you know, tell the brain of the computer of the car, you know, the behaviors of the shift pattern and things of that nature. And this is why she's stuck in third gear and won't like switch past that. So my recommendation, although it was cheaper to change this sensor, you know, it was cheaper to go up in there through there and go through all of this work just to change this bad boy, which is the output speed sensor. But, you know, in putting all of this stuff back together, normally I would go ahead and replace this valve body because it's integrated with the TCM. I talked to her and she said she didn't have the money right now to do that. So we're just continuing to move forward with the cheapest route, you know, to go with replacing the output speed sensor first to see if that actually improves the problem. If not, then we already know we got to replace the valve body because it's integrated with the TCM, and the TCM stands for Transmission Control Module. So that's where we are with this project. Also, before I go, if you like this kind of content and you want more from me, you know, do me a favor and smash that like button. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and make a comment too. Let me know what your thoughts are on this type of content. And I'll be more than happy to, you know, keep it going. All right, back to the video. Some more fun facts for your hair. If you know, like I know, oil is lighter than water. So as you can see that? The oil is sitting right on top of the water. And that's crazy.